Hello, and welcome to today's video. Today, we're delving into the remarkable stories of 10 great African leaders who have left an indelible mark on history. From Nelson Mandela's fight against apartheid to Wangari Maathai's environmental activism, you're about to be inspired by the resilience, courage, and vision of these incredible individuals. But before that, make sure to subscribe to us for more videos and tap the bell icon to get notified with every new video from us. So, let's dive into the stories of these inspirational figures who have changed the world. Number 10, Jomo Kenyatta. There was also a great African leader named Jomo Kenyatta who had a lot of power while he was alive. He was from Kenya and was the first president of the country. The British gave Kenya its freedom in 1963, and for a year, Jomo was the Prime Minister of the country. He finally became president in 1964 and held that office until his death in 1978. He did a lot for his country while he was in charge. It was because of him that the country was stable and Kenya's economy got better. Number 9, Thomas Sankara. Thomas Isidore Noel Sankara, from Burkina Faso, is next on the list. He is one of the best African leaders of all time. From 1983 to 1987, he was in charge of the country. In the 1980s, Sankara was one of the young leaders in Africa. He became the leader of his country when he was 33 years old, in 1983. It was his goal to get rid of crime in the country, and he also fought against the French colonialists who were in charge at the time. Captain in the army, Pan-African thinker, and Marxist rebel, Sankara had many roles in his life. Many young Africans looked up to him as a hero because he did so many great things when he was very young. In fact, people in his country still love him for being honest and caring about his country. He was unfortunately killed on October 15, 1987, so he never got to reach his full potential. In spite of that, he is still one of the best leaders Burkina Faso has ever had and one of the best leaders Africa has ever seen. Number 8, Patrice Lumumba. This person started the main movement National Congolese Party and worked hard to get the people of Congo to break away from Belgium. After his country got its freedom, Patrice was the first prime minister of the new country to be elected by the people. He worked to bring the country together, among other things. Besides the things he did in Congo, he also made sure he pushed for other African countries to become independent. Unfortunately, he was killed in 1961 after Joseph Mobutu, a military leader, took power. That was the end of his life. Number 7, Haile Selassie. Ethiopian leader in Africa. Haile is an important figure in African history because he was a part of the Solomonic dynasty. Haile was a brave leader who stopped an attack by Italy. He was a big hero who made sure that Ethiopia wouldn't fall into the hands of the colonizers while other African countries were being taken. His first job was as governor of the country from 1916 until 1930, when he became emperor. In the League of Nations, about 6 years after becoming ruler of Ethiopia, the African leader spoke out against Italy's use of chemical weapons against Ethiopians during the Second Italo-Ethiopian War. It was mostly because of his work that his country became a founding member of the UN. Haile was also very important in the beginning of the Organization of African Unity. Number 6, Julius Nyerere. Another great African leader is Julius Cambridge Nyerere. People admire what he has done, especially for his country Tanzania, where he was the first president. From 1964 to 1985, he was president. One thing that made people admire him was that he gladly gave up his power in 1985. Before he became president and before Tanzania became an independent country, Julius was prime minister when the country was given the power to run itself. Many powerful people around the world looked up to him because he spoke out against crime. Number 5, Alpha Omar Konaré. A great African leader from Mali named Alpha Omar Konaré did everything he could to improve the lives of the people in his country. He was president of Mali for 2 terms, from 1992 to 2002. Before he left office, Konar improved the country's economy. Besides doing great things to help his country's business, he also worked hard to make the country more democratic. Not only did he do great things in Mali, but he was also the head of the African Union for a while and the president of ECOWAS, where he worked hard to promote peace and unity. Number 4, Nelson Mandela. As we all knew, Nelson Mandela is at the top of the list. Almost everyone agreed that he was and still is the best African leader ever. South Africa is very proud of him and will never forget what a hero he is. Nelson did everything he could to get rid of racism in the country. He did what Mahatma Gandhi did in India and ran calm campaigns with no violence to get the South African government to stop its racist policies and give everyone the same rights. Well, his struggles led to good things. From 1994 to 1999, Nelson Mandela was also president of his country. It's interesting that, even though he has the personality to be president for more than one term, he chose to step down as soon as his term was over. The Nobel Peace Prize was given to Mandela in 1993, and he is seen as the best leader Africa has ever had. People saw Mr. Nelson as a sign of world peace before he died, and he really did want peace. Number 3, Kenneth Kaunda. Kenneth Kaunda was a leader from Zambia who was president for the first time from 1964 to 1991. Kaunda was a teacher by trade, but in 1949, he worked as an interpreter and advisor on foreign matters and learned a lot about politics. Sir Stuart Brown, who was a liberal white colonist, was his boss. After that, Kaunda joined the African National Congress and quickly rose through the ranks. Kenneth Kaunda, who was in charge of the Socialist United National Freedom Party, led peaceful protests and talks that led to Zambia's freedom on October 24, 1964. Number 2, Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah is a respected Ghanaian politician who led the country to freedom from Great Britain, which had been its colonial master. He could have been the father of Ghana, which would not be too far off. Nkrumah was Ghana's first president and cabinet leader. He is one of the most well-known Pan-Africanists because he helped to create the African Union, which used to be called the Organization of Africa Union. But where did it all start? Nkrumah went to school outside of Gold Coast for about 12 years and then came back. Because he led a political effort to end British rule in Ghana in 1950, he was arrested. His deeds affected later movements for independence in Africa. While he was president, Ghana's whole length and width saw huge projects to improve things. His impact on Ghana and the world is basically unmatched. Number 1, Kofi Annan. You can't leave out Kofi Annan from any list of important African leaders. Even though he wasn't a well-known politician, he was an African world leader. Ambassador Kofi Annan was from Ghana. From 1997 to 2006, he was the 7th Secretary General of the United Nations. Annan worked to stop the spread of HIV/AIDS in Africa while he was head of the UN. He tried to end many world wars and battles. In 2001, he and the UN won the Nobel Peace Prize. The years after he was UN Secretary General were also very successful for him. As Special Ambassador, he went to places like Syria and Myanmar and led a number of groups there. The Kofi Annan Foundation is a charity and think tank for world policy. It is one of many things that exists because of Annan. In the early hours of August 18, 2018, word spread that Annan had died. The well-known official died at the age of 80. People will always remember Annan as a great leader who worked hard to end hunger and bring peace to the world. That's all for today's video. Hope you got some value. If so, make sure to subscribe to us for more videos and tap the bell icon to get notified with every new video from us. See you in the next video.